Welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. And I'm here in the Lowlands at the Kingsbarns Distillery near the town of St. Andrews. It's a very famous town for the university, but also for their golf. The old course at St. Andrews is the oldest golf course in the world and one of the most famous and also very difficult to play at this golf course. And yeah, here near the town of St. Andrews is the Kingsbarns Distillery, and this is the only distillery with a putting green on the grounds. And yeah, but it's all about the whiskey. Let me just do one hole in one and then we get in and find out about the whiskey. Let's talk a bit about the history of the Kingdom of Fife. It's called the Kingdom of Fife. It didn't have a king, it was still the King of Scotland. And that was King David I. He was a very well-known King of Scotland because he was kind of a reformer. He put into the feudal systems, united the Gaelic and a bit of Picts and Britons and all of them together and said, we are all together and we're going to fend off the Vikings, because that was a really big problem back in the days of the 1100s. So he started off the feudal system, and he resided in the Falkland Palace. That was kind of his hunting and leisure, and he had also banquets there. And all the grain that was necessary to bake the bread, bake the cakes and stuff, that was stored in the king's barns. So this was really barns from the king to store his grain. And there was a farm called West Newhall, and this farm is where we actually are today. That has been converted to the Kingsbarns Distillery, named after the local town that has been named after, the Kingsbarns. Yeah. Then we have notable, the distillery is owned by Wemyss, and they are lords and ladies. And we have the Wemyss Castle, where I think their uncle is residing, but they're really still the lords, and they have built up the distillery. Will come to that a little bit later. What is also notable as a king was James IV. He was the first who has written down to have ordered aquavit, the former whiskey, to be ordered for production out of barley. So that is the first note of really distilling whiskey in Scotland. That was 1494, really long time ago. So this is a bit about the long age history, and let's get into to the casks and how the distillery is being built up. I've talked about the Kingdom of Fife a lot. Now let's talk about this building here. It was the Newhall Farm, and it was built in the 1800s. When it was built, don't know quite, that's not really well known, but they had pigeons here, and this tower here is the home of the pigeons. And what is really interesting is they were not just for messaging, for king's messaging, but they were also being eaten. So if a pigeon doesn't do its job anymore, it gets eaten. And also they harvested the eggs for delicate banquets for the king, or just eaten themselves if it was too much. So and what is cool is in the bottom of the bottle you can see here these squares are for more of the homes of the pigeons, really into the glass, molded, and that's really a nice thing. So they converted the farm in 2013. That was the vision of Doug Clement. He's a caddy from St. Andrews, and he wanted to have a nice distillery that is linked to the links and to the golfing around St. Andrews. And he came to the Wemyss family, who are lords and ladies of the Fife region, and he presented the idea, and they picked it up and they spent the money and built up the Kingsbarns. In 2013 they started, and they were pretty quick, so they filled their first cask in March 2015. And that was the beginning of the production, and the following year you could visit the distillery. And then later in 2018, end of 2018, beginning of 2019, there was their first single malt. They called it a Dream to Dram. The recipe still lives on. You don't get the bottles anymore. The recipe still lives on in one of their core ranges, as it was good, but they are now a bit older as the distillery has more stock. So that is the history behind it, and let's dive right in how they make their whiskey. Let's start with the ingredients. First up is the water. they're very lucky here. They have a well. It's about 100 meters deep. That's, I don't know, 330 feet, something like that. And it's very, very pure water. They don't have to treat it. It's just so pure and nice. But it's a bit different to, let's say, Kentucky or other parts of the country, because it's sandstone. That means it's a bit more dense. It needs a long time for filtering. It's about 60 years from the rain to when it is pumped up from 100 meters down. So very old mineral-rich water, which is very nice and interesting to produce the Kingsbarns whiskey. Second ingredient is the barley, or the barley grist. The barley is grown in a region of about 15 to 20 miles around the distillery, so very, very local product here. But the region is, a very wheat and barley, oats driven region, so they're very lucky to have that and can have a really regional product. As I mentioned, it's really unpeated, so they only do unpeated whiskey, no peat, no smoke in here at all. They put about 1.5 tons of grist here in the mash tun. It's a very modern stainless steel mash tun, and they come out with a mash of about 7,800 liters. The fermentation here is where the first flavors are really created. And what they have is 5 stainless steel tanks. One is below the floor, and they have a capacity of 11,000 liters, filled to 7,800 liters. So there's quite a space for foam to build up, so they don't need any switcher blades to cut down foam. So yeah, that is pretty good. But as I said, we need flavor. So how is the flavor created? It's created by the yeast. And they fill in 2 kinds of yeast. First we have Anchor, which is a British distiller's yeast, very efficient, very good for making alcohol. And the second one is Fermentus. It's a French yeast that is known for being really floral, a bit of fruity, but it's really the part where you add flavors. They measure it here with a bucket, and they mix it by hand with a bit electric mixer, and then they fill both in within a time frame of 20 minutes, and it starts fermenting. The yeast is the one side of the fermenting that you need. The other side is time. And time, they have to be really patient here. They have about 72 to 110 hours, which is quite long. It's nearly a week for fermentation. And that gives you this nice, floral, fruity. They remain a bit of maltiness in there as well with their combination, what they have. And that's what the flavor is, what they want to have. But then you end up with a beer of about 8, 9, something around alcohol, and you have to get these flavors out into the whiskey, and that's where the magic happens. The distillation is also very precise for the flavor, and what they want to have is a light and fruity lowland style whiskey. What you usually do is you take really tall pot stills, and they have the wash still, about 7,000 liters filled, and the spirit still 4,800 liters filled. And they couldn't build them higher because it's a national landmark, and they were not allowed to change the building in its appearance that much. So they were not allowed to build higher than the tower that used to be here. And so the restriction in height had to be compensated. So what they did was a bit of a constricting piece. Also the line arm is pretty long and a bit thinner. That gives you a bit more back pressure and reduces the speed at which the distillery is running. So they run it a bit slower. They have a slower distillation, better separation of alcohol with this time, this extended time, and then they can have a lighter, fruitier spirit. How do you make a lighter, fruitier spirit? They do the cuts.
they also do the cuts all by hand here. There's no computer here anywhere. So all the manual levers and the manual measurements with the floaters and everything. So what they do is the foreshots, they are pretty normal around here. But the lower cuts, where they say that's feints now, they have to do earlier. Because in the feints, you get the oily, spicy stuff. If you want to have an island whiskey, then you have to have really, really low cuts, second cut. But here you have a very, very early second cut to cut out all the spicy stuff. And you're left with a nice, fruity, malty, light lowland style whiskey. Overall, they can produce about 300,000 liters of alcohol per year, and that is then all going off into the casks. The distillery doesn't really have warehouses on site. As they belong to the Wemyss family, they already are independent bottlers with the brand of Wemyss, so they actually store their casks in Glenrothes in their warehouses they already did own. And what they do have, they have the majority of their spirit put into bourbon casks. Here is a special edition, which is 100% bourbon cask. They have Heaven Hill casks, which give them a lot of vanilla, caramel, sweetness, and that is all reflected in this special bottling. You can see it's a bit lighter, as the bourbon tends to not be dark with any specific color except of that nice golden color. Next up, these casks. I don't have a cask, but I have the cask stave, which is really good. This is an STR cask, and if you look at the bottle, it's 100% STR matured whiskey. It's very dark, and it is also a little bit red. That's because we have red wine. It's a barrique red wine, and these casks are STR shaved, so they shave out a little bit inside. Then they toast it, they heat it up, caramelize the wood sugars, caramelize a little bit of what's left of the wine, make the cask really sweet again, and then you do a bit of charring to get the top layer to be a bit more of charcoal and make the whiskey a little bit smoother as well. And with this STR process, you really rejuvenate the cask a lot, so it's a really active cask and has a lot of flavor influences, sweet, and a lot of berries, cherries. We'll see that later in the interview and the tasting. And in the end, what we also have, some of them go into port and into what we see here, the sherry casks. And this is 100% sherry cask maturation. So there's a bit of sherry always left in the staves, and you get a little bit of a red color and nice, fruity, dried fruity character. And stay tuned. We'll have an interview with a tasting now. So this was it with the production, and now I'm standing here with Peter Holroyd, and you look young, but you've been here for 11 years at the distillery. 4 years you've been a brewer before, and you studied brewing and distilling. Tons of knowledge here, so thank you very much for having us here.
No, well, thank you for coming. Pleasure to host you.
So it's a lovely day here, and I've been through the distillery, and I've seen a golf course in front of the distillery. So what's up with that?
Yeah, funny thing, we're probably the only distillery in the world that's got a putting green directly outside it. We're situated, Kingsbarns, right beside the home of golf in St Andrews. So the aim was really always to make a feature of the building as well, and to make sure that visitors that come across from all over the world to play golf here in Scotland, in St Andrews, can also come and see a distillery. Doug Clement was is a local golf caddy, a little bit of history behind the distillery, and he actually had the idea to have the distillery here, and it was the Wemyss family that made that happen, that brought the idea to life. Yeah,
I'm really not a golfer, but St Andrews is quite famous, isn't it? It's one of like the big ones.
I have to say, I'm not a golfer myself either.
But I've heard the name St Andrews just that.
No, it is. It's got some world famous courses, and people do come from all over the world to play in some of these places. It's a lovely place. It really is. It's a gentle landscape, so I suppose it's perfectly suited for for golf.
And if you have weather like that, then it's really a good day for doing a golf and then maybe having some whiskey. So what are we having? We're having core range today, pretty much, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to take you through some of the products that we produce here. Kingsbarns, we're really, the thread running through all of this is we're striving to be a very lowland style whiskey. So light, fruity, elegant, but something unique with a bit of character as well. So first off, I'm going to show you Doocot, which is...
Doocot sounds Gaelic. Is it Gaelic?
It's not actually. Doocot means dovecot. It's where Taubenschlag for Germans.
Okay.
So where they used to keep doves for their meat and their eggs.
Okay.
And it's the oldest part of the building here. We're situated in an old farmsteading, and the oldest part of the building is a couple of 100 years old, and it's this Doocot.
Is that the tower on the far side?
Yes, yeah, it's got the castellations on it. Yeah.
I'll put it in here in the video. Ooh, but that is definitely light, sweet.
46% strength, natural colour.
Fruity.
Yeah, it's like elegant fruit. So the mixture of maturation that goes on in here is 90% ex-bourbon casks and 10% shaved, toasted, recharred casks from Portugal.
It's pretty sweet. Since when did you have the core range? Has that long available or?
Yes. It initially started out as Dream to Dram, where we had basically Doocot, but 3 years old, and then it's evolved into Doocot, which is 6-7 years old.
Are you still gonna tweak it a little bit, or is that where you wanted to have for the longer future? I would say.
With what it is now, I think that's Kingsbarns in a glass. It's light, it's elegant, wee bit of bananas, little bit of tropical fruit.
Bananas. That's that you say it, it's totally in there.
So you're picking up.
I would have said a little bit of tropical fruits, maybe a little of mango, but I think banana fits more that creamy, easy style.
Yeah. Old school lowland whiskey, nice, elegant fruit, a bit of finesse about it. That's what we're really going for.
Nice. So, Slange? Oh, that's a nice entry. Yeah, that's a beginner's whiskey.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's the sweet and the sour, a little bit of pineapple there, like you were saying, tropical fruit.
Okay, the initial was a bit more intense than I would have expected, but now it comes a fruit bomb. This is really only 10% STR and the rest is bourbon.
Yeah.
But a lot of first fill then.
Yeah, it's all first fill bourbon.
All first fill.
First fill bourbon casks. That's the backbone of this dram. And then I like to say the glue that holds it all together is these STR casks, shaved, toasted, recharred. That's, you can see a bottle here, really, really dark, really rich, sticky whiskey. So that just adds a touch of richness to this dram. I think it gives a little bit of summer berries to it as well. So, but yeah, I think bourbon casks for us just work really well.
Yeah, it worked really well. So you mentioned the Wemyss family. They are independent bottler. You've been here from the start, right?
Yeah.
So during the setup process, was it always a talk to support the blends or the independent bottling from Wemyss, or was it really to make a new product?
It was really to make a malt distillery that could stand on its own. So of course the Wemyss family, we're very lucky to have them as proprietors. They have the knowledge, they have the contacts. Isabella Wemyss does all the cask selection, and she's absolutely passionate about that and about selecting the right wood and putting the money where it matters, which is in raw materials for your malt whiskey.
But do you supply the Wemyss independent bottling their brand as well, or does that still come from somewhere else?
There's a little bit of crossover there in terms of empty wood, so casks. So once we use some casks for Kingsbarns, we can maybe utilise that again for Wemyss Malts.
Okay, yeah, obviously casks is also a really big thing.
We haven't done any. We've not used any Kingsbarns in any of the Wemyss blended malts or anything like that. Try to keep them as separate entities for now. yeah, we're trying to build the brand with Kingsbarns. Really, we're still a young distillery in the grand scheme of things. We're a baby, you know. We've only been going for a touch over 11 years.
Yeah, but 11 years is where you get on the map of people, I would say.
Yeah, and it is where the distillery. When Kingsbarns turned about 7 or 8 years old, when we brought out Doocot, I think that's where you saw a little bit of change, and you could start to see where the whiskey's going. And now that we're looking at some whiskies that are over 10 years old, it's fantastic. You know, we brought out a 10-year-old last year, and it's great to see the distillery evolving. And you can have great new make spirit, you can have good casks, and you can put them together, and you can be reasonably certain that you're going to get a good product, but you never know what flavors you're gonna get out of that. You know, it's been fascinating to see.
Yeah, it's always a bit of a gamble, because you have that time frame. What happens in the next 10 years inside the cask? Okay,
Yeah.
you do have knowledge about it. You know what cask does what, but it's always a bit of a gamble.
Yeah, no, it's been fantastic to see it, and we've got a warehouse now as well, still in Fife. But we can keep a close eye on all of our casks now, so that's been a real boon to us.
Yeah. So the next one looks really different to the first one. So
Yes.
What did you do with maturation?
So this is Balcomie, named after a local place name, a castle that's just down the road. It's very, very dark, as you said. Aged in ex Oloroso sherry butts.
Oh, okay, sherry.
Yep. So here we are, about 6 or 7 years old for Doocot. This is 5, but a lot more rich. So the sherry casks have held sherry for many, many years. It's not just seasoned, but it's American oak, so you don't get all the tannins that you do in some sherry whiskies. We're trying to go for a soft maturation for every release that we do. Try and let the distillery character shine.
Ooh, okay. This is not as like fruity, direct, easy, nice. This is more laid back. Sherry, dark fruits, a little bit of a chocolate note going on, but
Definitely.
not quite sure if it's dark chocolate or milk chocolate or both.
I like to think it's got like a darker sugar smell to it as well. Think kind of brown sugar, demerara sugar, a wee bit of treacle. Chocolate, you're bang on. Like fruit and nut.
Well, is it only sherry butts, or do you also have the?
No, it's just sherry butts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's, as I say, it's old sherry butts that have held sherry for many, many years, and because of that, the sherry's the thing that's taken out a lot of the tannins and the sappiness that you sometimes get. You end up with the perfect cask for maturing a lighter whiskey in. Although this is admittedly quite dark.
It is. Strange enough, it doesn't feel younger. It feels older. You said like this is 7, this is 5, but due to the I don't know what you call it, the flavors of the sherry, it's really feeling more subtle, more laid back, gentler. Even the first one was creamier. That was just smoothing on the tongue and smoothing around the mouth. This one is more a little bit velvety, I would say.
Yeah, I think it's kind of soft fruitcake. That's the kind of feeling you get from it.
Yeah, I would have said fruit punch or fruit, what was it, potpourri or something like that. Yeah.
Definitely.
It is sweet. It's just compared to the first one, it's not that sweet. Probably if we had that, the first one, I would say more about sweetness and all of that.
Yeah. No, you get just a little bit of spice in it as well, but nothing major. I mean, it really is about kind of dried fruit, this, maybe a little bit of apricot as well. I think it's important to have quite distinct bottlings for your core range, and really for the first 3 whiskies we're looking at here, Doocot, Balcomie, and later on when we try Coaltown, it's about setting the scene.
You're going quite apart. This is really as far apart as 2 lowlanders can go, probably. if you don't add peat to the mix.
Yeah, I think it's great to have 3 very different drams, but these are the three that we're going out to the world and saying this is what Kingsbarns is. Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of what Kingsbarns is, what does the name Kingsbarns have to? I don't know. Was it the king here, or what was here?
So we're situated in the Kingdom of Fife. So Kingsbarns. This is where the barns, the local village Kingsbarns, just a mile down the road there. It used to be where grain was stored for all the palaces, for Falkland Palace, places like that. So it was really a kind of a agriculture and growing of the raw materials for whiskey has always been very linked to this area. It's fertile soils, well draining soils. We get more sunlight hours than just about anywhere else in Scotland because we're in the east coast in this little peninsula in Fife. It's like a wee hidden corner, so it's the perfect place to grow the raw materials for whiskey. And Kingsbarns, this is where all the grain was stored of this region of Scotland to be used for the palaces. So that's kind of where the name originates from.
Ah, okay. So, but the Kingdom of Fife, obviously not today, but back in the days it was a kingdom. Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool thing. So the next one, do you do peated whiskey? Because I didn't think.
So we don't actually do peated whiskey as in using peated malt, but what we've done for Coaltown, named after the Coaltown of Wemyss, for the Wemyss family, is we have used ex-peated casks. So these are casks that have previously held peated whiskey, mostly from Islay. We were always very worried about putting peated malt through the system because we make a very light and fruity, elegant style of whiskey. If you put peat through it, then it's going to take forever to try and get that out of the distillery again. So,
having peat in your distillery and doing like mixed production. Yeah, I've heard that you have to have a week or 2 of cleaning.
Yeah. So we wanted to have something with a little bit of smoke through it, just to make something a wee bit different, a little bit different, something a wee bit more unique. So we opted just to use these ex-peated casks. It's quite pale in colour, as you can see, but big on flavour. I like to think.
Oh yeah, and I'm always amazed how much the peated casks really affect, because I've seen it with some distilleries which had maybe a heavier character. They had influence, but here it comes really as like, I would say like 10 ppm or 15, 20 ppm.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's really funny because some of the casks you get in, when you taste them, it's like a peated whiskey, and some of them are very, very gentle. So that's really the job of Isabella Wemyss, our blender, to put all these together and make sure you've got consistency throughout batches. But on the nose, you're undoubtedly right. You pick up that little thread of smoke running through it. Kind of grilled banana. Still pick up all the distillery character, the elegant fruit, a little bit of tropical fruit.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Slange.
Oh, it has that chimney style. Yeah, it has that cold chimney style when you, I don't know, have a cottage and you come down in the morning and have fire in the evening. And so, yeah, it has that dry, but it's not like a ham. It's more of a cold peat fire somewhere around there. Nice.
But it's quite light. Still got the fruit, as I say. I think it's kind of grilled banana, a little bit of heather maybe.
It is fruity, and as you said, with bananas and stuff. But compared to the first one, lightly fruited one. But I would say compared to a normal one, I would say fruity one.
Yeah. I pick up a wee bit of salt in that as well, which is quite nice because we're just beside the sea as well. So coast is just down there. Sometimes those kind of peated notes remind you, or they're reminiscent at least of a little bit of salt salinity.
Yeah, it's strange. It really captures that. Now that I say it's a bit of a marine flavor, saltiness. It captures the Islay style, more of the
I would say dry Islay style, more of like, let's say, northerners.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
But not, maybe some southerners also have that. But the intensity is just like half of it or something like that.
Yeah. Gentle.
Gentle,
Yeah.
But I expected even more gentle. I expected less of an intensity, but
It's a nice gateway into peated whiskies. So folks that maybe aren't into smoky whiskey, I've given some people this, and it's been a gateway into trying some of the more robust ones later on. So yeah.
So it's nice to see all of that coming, and I've seen a few other distilleries now on the Lowland tour, and there are many new distilleries. You're not as old either, so do you see a bit of a revival here in the Lowlands?
Over the last 10 years, undoubtedly, yes. There's been quite a lot of distilleries popping up. When we started, it was quite an underrepresented region, the Lowlands. But now, you've got quite a few. Even in Fife, in our region, you've got quite a lot of distilleries coming up, which is great to see.
Yeah, but what is strange, you have two stills, and usually, like when we had talked about lowland whiskies, let's say 15 years ago or even 12 years ago, it was always like, lowland style is triple distilled. Is the lowland style, what would you describe the new lowland style with all the distilleries coming up? Is there a common style, or are they all doing something different?
Regionality, in my opinion, is probably a little bit less important than it used to be, or less defined than it used to be. You've got some lowland distilleries that are making, peated whiskey in different types, a little bit straying away from that kind of lowland style. But we knew from the outset that we wanted to make the most of the area and the raw materials, and use locally grown barley and water from directly below our feet here, and mature it all in Fife, and try and go for that light, elegant kind of lowland style. Yeah.
And the last one is a distillery reserve.
Yes,
and it has a date on it, right? Or it's the 2024 release. Are they coming out annually, or what's up with this bottling?
Yes, so we bring out one every year, just with a different cask selection. This one here is Oloroso sherry butts, and it's cask strength generally, the distillery reserve, unchill filtered. And this one we brought out a couple of years ago. Exactly the same cask types as goes into the Balcomie that we tried a little bit earlier, but it's a little bit older as well.
Okay, let's try it. Oh, you can see here it's 58.2, so yeah, good cask strength.
Yeah, nice and punchy.
Oh, it does have something from the Balcomie. Yeah.
Again, gorgeous fruit in the nose. That's what I always pick up some level of fruit in all of our releases, some level of tropical fruit, I think.
Yeah, but it feels more like, as the other one, bit dried fruit, bit more of the forest fruit. Do you even have a forest at Fife?
Yeah. Are you thinking kind of brambles, blackberries?
Yeah, like that.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Because when I drove through here, you had small forests, a few trees here and there, but it was mostly fields, I would say.
Yeah. It's a lot of really good ground for. It's like Scotland's breadbasket, really. It's a lot of really good ground for fruit, for wheat, for barley, for oats. It's a gorgeous place to live.
It's opening up. Now I'm getting even more. It was a bit hiding at the beginning, I would say, the Balcomie. Or maybe it's a bit stronger. Maybe it just needs a bit of time to sit in the glass before you know.
Sometimes find that with the cask strength stuff, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah. And a little bit of a distillery character going on as well. With the cask strength. Yeah. It has a bit of a light, fruity touch to it as well.
Still picking up the dried fruit as well.
I'm going to try it neat.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to add some water.
Nicely distilled. Yeah, you can do it 58 with that one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think good cuts I would say on that one. It works with 58. There are some whiskies that you can't try with our 55. They need the water then, but this one I would say it works. It has a nice fruitiness to it, although lighter than I would have expected from what you said with the Balcomie.
But got a longer finish in that one. Bit more age to it, bit more strength to it. I think it's got a little bit more, like peach tart or apricot upside down tart. That really kind of juicy, syrupy sort of fruitiness.
That's a bit of a big pipette, so add a little bit more water than I wanted to have. But it's nice. I think I got it down to about 46.
Right.
And it really has a touch of that Balcomie, but still a bit lighter. The Balcomie was more on the chocolatey side. This is more, I would say, even goes a little bit into strawberries and what you said, bramble and raspberries. And
yeah.
like all the red ones that you find wild in the forest.
It's definitely a juicy dram, isn't it? It's quite moreish.
So what can you expect in the future? So the core range is going to stay. The annual release is going to come. Is there anything like big changes going on?
As the distillery ages, of course, I think we'll probably evolve the core range. But in terms of big changes, we're really trying to grow the brand, because as I said, we're only 11 or 12 years old now.
So a lot of special releases, trying to show what works with the customer.
I think so. I think it's important to have some special releases. We do have some secrets up our sleeve going on in the warehouse at the moment with various things that are maturing in there.
Okay.
So that's quite exciting, and we'll bring them out in due course. But yeah, the big thing for us was building our own warehouse recently. A couple of years ago now we built the warehouse, but that's just given us quite a lot of scope and quite a lot of flexibility to do what we want, to look at casks a little bit more closely and to be able to grow the brand and to make the whiskies that we want to make.
Okay, so I think we covered pretty much all. So Peter, thank you very much for having us.
Fantastic, thank you for coming.
Yeah, it was lovely. And if you got interested in the Kingsbarns whiskies, then have a look at Whisky.com and Whisky.de. You will find the whiskies there. Maybe the 24 when you watch the video later will be the 25 or the 26. Maybe. So yeah, have a look at Whisky.com and Whisky.de. And yeah, thanks for watching and see you next time.